Hello and welcome to the live stream. Let's shed a little light on this. Or not. There we go. Ah! Nuclear explosion. Hey everybody, good to see you. Okay, so the YouTube chat is working on the YouTube. Let's see if we can pull everybody together here and see if we can get the... no. The Restream chat is not working, so right now it looks like the only people that will be able to chat and be on the screen up there are going to be Lizzie all by herself if she's on Twitch, or the rest of you guys. So, welcome Dr. Howard, welcome Stephanie. We're going to take a look at the next revolution with Steve Hilton. It's an interview with Trump. Mark M., you are a moron. Do we know Mark M.? All right, well, he gets through. Let's go ahead and hide that for him. Joanna, good to see you. I hope you had a nice nap. Let's get going with this. So we appear to be broadcasting. Welcome to the live stream. I am your Heavenly Father, Kevin Williams. We chat truth to power. That's what we do. We're going to be taking a look at Trump's interview on the next revolution with Steve Hilton on Fox and Friends. He's there for a whole hour, and I don't know at the end of this week if I can take it. So he had a press conference earlier today, and we watched it together. By the way, if you'd like to participate in the chat, the best place to do it is youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. And you'll find a live feed there. That's where you can be part of this right here. Let's see. Hide it like true cowards. Okay, we're going to put Mark in a timeout because there's no reason to call me a coward. Here we go. There, he's in timeout now. So, Mark, if you want to play, you're welcome back at the end of your timeout, whenever that is. Let's see, 300 seconds. And after that, you can come and play. And if you can be nice, you're welcome here. And honestly, the more you chat, the more money I make. So you're welcome in the room, but there's no reason to insult the people in the room or myself. We're doing our thing, and we tell the truth. Speaking of truth, earlier Trump today had... I don't want to call it a press conference, but he announced that the FDA is giving emergency use authorization to convalescent plasma, as he calls it. And he also said that we have the lowest mortality or fatality rate of all the major countries. It's not even close to being true. Australia, India, New Zealand, South Korea, Russia, Israel. These are all major countries, all with lower case fatality rates than the United States. And as I pointed out at the time, during a pandemic, case fatality rate is a very poor judge of the mortality risk of a virus. Nobody uses it. Now, if we were to take a look at the number of dead, the number of new cases per million, the U.S. leads those categories, like way up at the top. At some point, India or Brazil will overtake us. But right now, India's case mortality rate, or case fatality rate, CFR, is lower than the United States. We can look that up later. Okay, so let's get going on this. So I kind of listened to the very first couple of minutes. It's going to be almost a full hour with Trump, but I kind of listened to the first couple of minutes. I'll show you guys, because when I heard it, he said, we're going to go over the platforms instead of all the platitudes that the Democrats offered and the negative. I don't think he actually watched the DNC. We're going to talk about actual plans that the president has for a second term. And he held up a piece of paper with the actual plans. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, he's got his hand there. He's going to say, let's see the actual, here we go. Where's what he wants to concentrate on? Here we go. Plans for the second term. Jobs, end our reliance on China, drain the swamps, defend the police, end illegal immigration, and innovate for the future. Radically different than the first 4 years, what he was trying to... I thought we were going to end illegal immigration already. I thought we'd already done the whole jobs thing until, 30 million people are on some kind of unemployment. I thought we were going to drain the swamp. I thought we were going to end this American carnage, and we are going to end it now. 4 years ago. Let's get on with it. Let's go ahead to Trump here. Here we go. That looks like Trump.
Attacking Trump. Mr. President, great to see you. We've just had the Democrat convention.
They're apparently in a bathroom with the audio.
You're up next week. Right. A lot of the commentary on the Democrats convention was that it was very negative. It was very much attacking
it was
Trump.
It was dark.
Right.
I agree.
What are we going to see from your party next week?
Well, I think we're going
to... Imagine the Democrat convention being a little bit dark with the economy spiraling with 175,000 American dead, soon to be 200,000 by the time Election Day gets here. COVID spreading out of control. Florida with 17% positivity ratings. Imagine going a little bit dark.
to see something that is going to be very uplifting and positive. That's what I'd like it to be. I think you have to defend yourself by talking about some of the lies, like when he says Social Security. I don't think he knows too much about Social
It's a good point. Literally an echo chamber.
Security. Basically, he said he's not going to give the big tax reduction that we're giving for people, which is a lot of money, and you have to do that. You need some stimulus during
Hasn't reduced anybody's taxes. He's just pushed them off.
this period of time. The economy is roaring back. It's coming back. We're going to be talking about the economy. We're going to be talking about the military, what we've done and where we're going, because we need strong military. They don't want to have a strong military.
But those are the, I just wanted to get a sense from you. What's the overall message?
I think it's positive.
Why should people vote for you?
Yeah, I think the overall is going to be a very positive as opposed to a dark, a very, very positive message. And positive on the economy. We're going to have a great year next year. You know, people find it hard to believe. You've seen the numbers. They all said, oh, we're not going to have a V. Well, the way we're going, we're going to have a super V. And we haven't
First off, super V, not a thing. Secondly, no, we're not having a V.
even gotten the additional stimulus that the Democrats should have approved, and they probably will, because I think they have a lot of political pressure. But
Approved it on May 12th. It's called the HEROES Act.
But no, I think it's going to be a very, very positive
So you've talked a lot about getting back to where we were.
Right.
The great economy, the facts are there on that. People can see that. And they experience.
Super, super positive message here. Let's see if this comes up.
the computers are going to pick up nothing.
Yeah.
They're going to pick up nothing. You'll have double voting where they send in a ballot and then they'll go and vote. That's going to be a big problem. They'll send in their ballot and they'll vote too. They'll send in the ballot and then they'll vote. What are the chances that some states so efficiently run? Oh, gee, you can't vote. We just got your ballot last night at 7 o'clock. I mean, think of how ridiculous it is, right? Common sense. I say this for the
That's the way literally every election system works, but okay.
media. This will be the greatest catastrophe, one of the greatest catastrophes in the history of our country. That's how serious it is.
Woohoo! Positivity! USA! One of the greatest catastrophes, so super positive. Moving on.
But what do you want to get done if you're re-elected in the next 4 years that you weren't able to do in the first?
I'd love to see school choice education-wise. It takes care of itself. It's the ultimate thing. I believe you're a fan of school choice, but the Democrats are totally not.
Well, yeah, no, let's gut the public education system. Let's pull a bunch of money out of the public education system, one of the worst in the world, in the developed world, but let's pull the money out of it and give it to the kids going to private school. That'll work.
Parents are.
Well,
they know
the parents
better for their children.
The parents are. And so school choice is one thing. Education is very simple.
No, Super V can be cured with a combination of hydroxychloroquine and convalescent therapy.
School choice. And let the parent go and decide. And also, for instance, if they're going to close these schools, I just left Pennsylvania. The whole state is closed up. North Carolina, they have it all closed up. By the way, their numbers aren't any better than other states. In many cases, they're worse. But
oh no, guys, are you blocking? No, don't block Joe Fisk. No, let him through if he wants to talk. I'll have a conversation with him. I'm a lot more interested in this ass face.
He'll probably open up everything on November 4th. Anything they can to make the economy as bad as possible.
This is what he's saying. His theory is that the people at the FDA, the people in the school systems across America, hate him so much that they want people to die. They want to kill thousands of Americans that could be helped by potential therapy, as opposed to letting that therapy out. That's how much they hate him. That's the ultimate snowflake, to think that people have dedicated their life to helping Americans have better lives. That they hate him so much, that he's that important, that they're willing to kill thousands of Americans just to stop him from getting elected. Wow, that is border wall personality disorder right there.
But they're having a hard time with it because the numbers are so good.
So what can you do at the federal level? Because a lot of that school...
The Department of Education could go away, Joe, and it wouldn't make any difference. You obviously don't know how the education system works in this country, but okay. I mean, if you want to take away the funding for disabled kids, kids with special needs, then get rid of the Department of Education. That's essentially what they cover. It's only 10% of the school budget. Very, very little having to do. Your schools are controlled on the local level. So whatever state you're in, if you're in a state, or I don't know what they have in Russia, but wherever you are, the schools are controlled there, not by the federal government.
You know, the money and the way it's run, it's done at the state and local level. What could you do as president?
There.
Well, one
Thank
of the things
you.
I did...
All right. I just said that. I'm starting to like this Steve Hilton guy. Right. So let's see what Trump says, what he thinks he can do. What power does Trump have over the public schools?
which nobody ever talks about, is I saved the historically black colleges and universities. They were in big trouble, and
They were not. There's an act that gives them money that was established in 2010. It sunsets after 10 years, so 2020 was due to be renewed. He simply renewed it. He didn't save the historically black colleges and universities. That's complete nonsense. But again, the question was about the public schools. What can you do? Well, let's talk about the colleges. Not part of the question at all.
saved them. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Because that's not the question that Steve Hilton, the guy who's interviewing, asked.
President Obama did not do it, and Biden didn't do it.
President Obama literally started it in 2010. He was elected in 2008. In 2010, they created the historically black colleges, the Rainbow Fund. I mean, we have notes on this. There's evidence. But nobody wants to talk about how I saved a black college.
And people didn't do it. So I think that's an important thing. At least I can say it, because we had no...
That is true. He can say it. Where's my broken bicycle bell? Hold on. I can't... There. I'm nothing but fair.
credit, and we should get a little credit for doing certain things. We are working with every educational group in the country. We are working on our schools. We want very, very strong, and you know, I've been very, very strong on choice, and we've got a lot of choice going. But this is where we can get students to, instead of failing horrible schools, where you see some of the statistics in New York where, I mean, people can barely read after they get out of high school. They can't pass the simplest of tests.
Side note, Trump went to high school in New York, so that tracks. I'm giving that a broken bell. That's again true. People who graduate, some people cannot.
So education's a big factor. It's going to be a big factor for me.
So let's talk about the economy and China. And I want to put those subjects together because so much of what went wrong with the economy, which you ran on in 2016, was the fact that the jobs went to China and so on. As you look ahead to the next 4 years, if you're re-elected, what's going to be your overall attitude towards China?
Okay, well, look back for the last 3.5 years. I'm the only one that ever took on China. And you saw the intelligence reports where they say China is working hard to get Joe Biden.
Obama took on China in the WTO, I want to say 21 times, 19 times, lost twice, won all the other ones. But yeah, no one ever takes on China. I mean, we have the WTO specifically for that purpose, and China lost almost always. In fact, it might have been, I think Trump actually lost the first. I don't know. I'd have to look at it again. But that's, look what a tennis ball does on a green screen. That's kind of cool.
Elected. If he gets elected, China will own our country. I've taken billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars in taxes out of China. I gave them to our farmers because they targeted.
China paid absolutely nothing in tax. China does not pay the tariffs. We know that. I see, like, for those of you watching at home that aren't in the chat room, I repeat a lot of the facts because he repeats a lot of the lies. Be that as it may. If you're new and you're hearing these things for the first time and you're like, what? How do you know that? Or whatever, and you want some evidence, then let me know. Jump into the chat room. Today, the only chat room that's working is on YouTube, and that is youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. Go there. You'll see the live stream. What's it called, guys? What's the live stream called? The live stream on YouTube is Trump on Steve Hilton. Fact check on however you got here, that's what it's called. Fact check. So get into that, and then I have something for the lies. Then I will answer your question. I will give you more evidence. It's all out there. You just have to know where it is, and I will show it to you. We're just going to stream through this because this is just going to take all night otherwise.
Only our farmers. They thought that would put pressure on me. They could get whatever they wanted. So they target us, and it's no good. So if you look at what we've done with China, nobody's ever done to China.
Are you going to be tougher in the next 4 years with China? A lot of people, I've been one of them, that said, why are we there at all? Why don't we disengage? Why don't we bring...
Decouple.
Exactly. What are you...
So, look...
Because they make the majority of our consumer goods, and if we decouple from them, our economy crashes because they also purchase billions of dollars of... Like, who is this guy? Suddenly Steve Hilton isn't making any sense.
I don't want to set the world on fire right now on your wonderful show, which I watch all the time, okay? But I made a great deal with China. You see that. They're buying billions and billions of dollars of, manufactured goods.
A week ago, he wasn't talking to China anymore, but okay.
But also our farmers, more than they've ever done. But with all of that being said, it's no longer the same to me. It's no longer the same. There's been no country that's ripped us off more than China. And by the way, the European Union is no beauty either, okay? They treat us terribly too. But there's been no country that has ripped us off like China for many, many years, for decades, where we'd lose anywhere from $200 billion to $500 billion, with a B, $billion.
Never lost $500 billion to China. The biggest loss ever to China, it's not a loss, it's a trade deficit, it's a different thing, was under Trump. So, but this 500, the other day he said 600 billion. He boosted it to 600. Now he's saying 500 again. But yeah, no, we never lost 500 billion. We got over 400 once under Trump.
A year. We rebuilt China. I give them all the credit because they were smarter than our presidents and smarter than our representatives. But I've stopped it. They had the worst year they've had in 67 years. This was the worst year. Prior to the plague coming in, they had the worst year, and we had the best.
But it sounds like in the future, I mean, your team has shared with me the key policy points of your second-term agenda. There's a lot to talk about there. One of them is about bringing back jobs, even more than before, and incentives for American companies.
But you're asking an even more interesting question. Would you decouple? Okay, that's what you're really asking. Would you decouple? That's a very interesting question.
Hold on.
Because so far, we've got nothing out of China.
I was going to ask you that. What do we get out of it?
We get nothing. All we do is lose money.
Right.
I said the easiest money. I said to people, you want to make money?
We get almost all of our consumer products out of China. That's what we get out of China.
Decouple from China, $500 billion. We lose billions.
We get cheap-ass bicycle bells that break from China. Hey, that worked. Where'd it go?
Hundreds of billions of dollars. We get nothing from China. Yeah, we get some goods that we could produce ourselves, okay?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Because, I mean, I've talked about this. No country in the world is better placed to move towards self-sufficiency than America.
It's true. It's true.
But do you like the sound of moving in that direction?
Well, I have been doing that. That's why I put tariffs on China.
Yeah, totally. Isolationism has worked every time it's been tried.
You know, when I put 25% tariffs on China, we got a lot of business back. When I put the 25, that's a lot. A 25% tariff is a lot. When I put the
It's 25%.
Tariffs on China, that's why we got so much of our business back. We took we were doing phenomenally. We were doing better than we've ever done with China. And I was all set to rock and roll, and then we got hit with this damn situation. But you know, you're asking a question, because you're asking two questions. Well, would you be tougher or this or that? But then you're asking a second question. Would you ever just decouple, not do business with China? Because, you know, we don't have to.
And what's the answer?
Well, it's something that if they don't treat us right, I would certainly.
Interesting.
What's
I would
the
certainly
answer?
I don't
do
think
that.
you'd hear that from Joe Biden. That is a big contrast.
China owns Joe Biden. His son got $1.5 billion. His son with no experience, no brain power, no anything, never
No
did
brain
it.
power.
Not only Ukraine, he got hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from Ukraine and a $3 million upfront payment. And then with China, he walks out with $1.5 billion to manage. That means millions of dollars a year in fees. It's ridiculous.
So
By the way, they own Joe Biden. They own him. And they want me to lose so badly. Probably only Iran would be in a case where they'd rather have me lose.
China owns Joe Biden. That's the president's claim there. His political opponent is owned by China. The actual evidence? Do we know that Biden has actually profited himself from China? No. No. The Trump family has many patents from China, properties associated with China. But Biden is the one who's owned by China. You know, Biden, because of his background in, well, he's been in public service since he was 20-something. But, you know.
Even more than China. And by the way, with Iran, I will have a deal done within the first 3 weeks. All they do, they just waited. They're desperate to make a deal. But they want to wait. And I even said, wait. They want to see what happens. But if Biden wins, they'll do another deal like they did with John Kerry, who's incompetent, and Barack Obama, who frankly is a deal maker, is incompetent. Look at the Middle East. Look at the deal.
Yes, all the other countries, the other 32 countries that were part of the Iran deal, they're all incompetent. Which is why this week when Trump said we got to do the snapback and put the sanctions back on Iran, the folks at the UN all said, no, they're not violating the terms of the agreement. Even your administration said they weren't violating the terms of the agreement, but you walked away. So snap this.
I just made with UAE and with Israel. And now all the other countries want to be a part of it. You can end up with peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought we'd be in a position like this.
I just want to go back to China. There's a specific thing I wanted to get your reaction to, which is it's an issue that's heating up in the relationship, Taiwan. In the past, there's been all sorts of different attitudes towards Taiwan from the US government. It seems to be getting more important because of the technology and the economic aspect. There's a company in Taiwan that's the world leader in semiconductors. It's a huge issue for industry around the world.
They're coming to this country.
Well, that's what I wanted. If China, and it looks like they're getting more and more belligerent, tries to either invade Taiwan or effectively take control of it and its important industries, would you let them get away with it?
I think it's an inappropriate place to talk about it. But China knows what I'm going to do. China knows. I think this is an inappropriate way to talk about it, though. You know, I don't want to say, yeah, I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to do this. It's just an inappropriate place to talk about it. It's a very big subject. It's a very powerful subject.
Oh, powerful. It's
but
big
I think China understands
and
what I'm going to be doing.
And what would that be? Tariffs?
All right, lots more to come from the president, but let's get a quick reaction now from our friends Martha McCallum and Brett Baer, who are...
Or not. How about that?
2 months, money back guaranteed. Get
Make a case. So
Here we go. Going back.
He got through the...
Going back again.
$20. And now, enter this exclusive.
Hold on.
Stop. I asked him what he thought. Take a look. I'm speaking to you on a Friday morning. Last night we heard Joe Biden. I presume you were watching. What was your reaction?
I was. It's what he didn't say, and he got through the speech, and I thought he got through it in a very decent manner.
Okay.
It was the shortest speech they say ever made of its kind, so it was short. Didn't talk about law enforcement, didn't talk about what's happening in all these Democrat-run cities like Chicago, New York, Portland, and many others.
They aired an 8-minute video on violence in Chicago, etc. But sure, I think Biden may not have mentioned it specifically, but
Others. I thought that would have been a big factor. Didn't talk about
whoa, Trump is saving the world. Fuck the world. America first, buddy. Trump should be saving America, not the world. I'm so sick of this globalist.
Increasing everyone's taxes, didn't talk about there'll be no fracking, there'll be no oil, there'll be no fossil fuels, because he signed on to a deal which I call the manifesto with Bernie and the radical left. And under that deal, you're not going to have fossil fuel. You're not going to have things that we need for jobs, and we need to fuel our plants. And these massive plants are not going to work on wind. And he didn't talk about any of that. So I think if he's going to go with it, he's got to make a case for it. And I don't think you can make a case, so he didn't discuss it. But a very big thing was he didn't talk about police, the way they're treated, how badly they've been treated. And he didn't talk about law enforcement and those cities that have been so badly run.
So one thing he did say, a lot of people have been talking about it. He said he's going to lead America out of the darkness into the light. What did you make of that?
Well, I'll tell you, the truth is we were doing so good. We had the greatest economy ever in the world.
Not true. GDP was 2.1%. That's pathetic.
Not just here. This was our greatest economy prior to the China virus coming in. We had the greatest economy, Steve, as you know better than anybody, because I watch your show all the time, and you talk about it. And then it took a turn, whether it was me or anybody else. I mean, the whole world, 188 countries got infected. And
that's correct.
We did great. I mean, we get zero credit. You know, what they're trying to do is make it all. We did great.
Well, actually, on that, there's a couple of falsehoods I spotted, probably more, but the two that stood out to me in his remarks.
Yes.
Yeah. One of them was on the virus, where he said it was worse here in America than anywhere else in the world. What's your reaction to that?
Well, yeah, we have 175,000 deaths. We have 5.5 million cases. That's number one in both those categories. So I'm going to go ahead and allow that.
We were far better than Europe. I mean, far better. We were far better than most other places. And if you take out New York, which was a disaster, and one or two other locations, I don't want to insult anybody by
because New York is not part of the United States.
Saying them, because it is their governor run. And we ended up...
Every state in the union is governor run. So great defense there, buddy.
Making ventilators and...
I know, you're absolutely... Bubatro's coming around. Yes, Trump is a giant snowflake. You're absolutely right, Bubatro. 100%. He's all, it's not my fault. They're all they're governor run. They're saying mean things about me. You're absolutely right, Bubatro. Okay, so we've convinced him. Welcome to the club, Bubatro. You're seeing the light, finally. Okay, we've opened somebody's eyes, folks. Let's move on.
Not one person that needed a ventilator didn't get it, when you think of that.
Joanna G., very good comment. We have 4% of the world's population, or the world's population, and 25% of the deaths. Yeah, we are objectively doing far worse than all the other countries on the planet. 25% of the world's deaths.
But you're right.
That's almost selfish.
He said the worst. And you take out New York and
You're, again, part of the United States, but let's just take it out.
a couple of other places.
A couple of other states as well. Let's just take out the bad states, and we're really great.
Practically, if you just take out New York, we had the best numbers of anybody. It was exactly the opposite. That was really...
No, even if you take New York out of the equation, we're still leading the world in death. Take out New York, we're still probably at 21%. Someone can do that math. 4% of the world's population, 21% of the world's deaths. Somebody take New York out of the equation. I don't want to do it.
When you say the best numbers of anyone, what are you basing that on?
Well, I'm basing it on mortality. I'm basing it on just a lot.
Mortality, we have the most fatalities on the planet. 25% of the mortality. That's, again, number one. I think he's like golf. The lower score is better. We should tell him that, because I think he thinks that more deaths is better at this point.
A lot of different statistics that I'm saying. New York was a disaster. It was very poorly done. The nursing homes lost. Now it comes out at least 11,000.
Okay, Bubatro, let's say that China has more death than us. We're still number 2, okay? So, still not the best mortality rates, number 2 behind China. Even if China has more deaths than we do, which there's no evidence to suggest that they do, because they're a government. Now, I've got all my problems with China. Not a fan of China. but they lock shit down. They tested everyone in Wuhan using pool testing, which we don't even have the technology to do, in a weekend. They tested 13 million people in a weekend. They reported in the middle of July, no, the late June, that they had 90 million tests. We're not even there yet, and it's almost the end of August.
People, that's Governor Cuomo. I don't know what he was doing, what he was thinking.
Bubba Tro, really, you're going to have to try and use English if you're going to pretend to be an American. They sure lied about their numbers. It's THEIR. So, seriously, at this point, you're just looking like a bot. Do a little bit better. And come back. I mean, if you are American, then, I don't know, maybe you're a little slow, in which case, thanks, buddy. I'm glad you're here, and I like that you're engaging with other people, and that's really, really great. So if you are on the slower track, let us know, because the last thing I want to do is make fun of you for the way that you're typing. If this is what you can do, if that's the level you're at, Bubba Tro, then God bless you. Of course I can blame Trump. I did not blame Trump. He was saying we're going to be close to 15. Here's how I can blame Trump, and I'll show you. Let's go. I will prove to you that this is on Trump. Trump is in control of the CDC. That's his department, right? He was saying back at the beginning, it's going to be close to zero. Oh, we got one person coming in from China. We've got it under control. Pandemic, no, we're not worried about it. We're not worried. He did not take decisive action. Yes, he banned the flights from China, but he didn't actually ban the flights from China. He only banned Chinese nationals. Close to 500,000 people came in, including a bunch of Americans. And no, they were not quarantined. Only people who'd been to Wuhan in the last 2 weeks were set up for quarantine, and the government didn't actually quarantine them. But here, I'll show you the definitive proof here. Let me pull this over right here. So we're going to pull this over, and I'm going to show you the big problem. In order to stop a virus, you have to know where the invisible virus is. I'll pull this up for you. These are the tests. Look, you can see the United States is way out front now in the test. Here's South Korea, okay? But let's see what happened back at the beginning when the testing really had to take place. We got the virus on the same day as South Korea, January 21st, January 20th, it's right in there. We're not really, it depends on, because the world they're a day ahead of us most of the time. But essentially the same day. Let's take that back to just after that day, and let's take a look at March. We're just going to reset this. So here we are, all of February. Remember, we got the virus January 21st, as you can see from that chart. I hope it's big enough for you. Let's just take it to March 7th, okay? Let's take a look at the graph. Here's South Korea, okay? South Korea, 164,000 tests. United States is not even on the chart yet. Hold on, we're gonna get the United States on here. Here we go. We're gonna move it ahead a little bit. Here we go. Boom. United States, as of March 8th, South Korea had done 188,000 tests. The United States had just passed 5,000. All this time, this entire month that you see up there, that whole month, with South Korea ramping up its testing to almost 200,000, the United States hadn't even done 5,000. And that is when the virus seeded itself and festered and reproduced and exploded. And that is why we have 175 thumbs. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. I don't want to give you any incorrect information. Let's just go to world meters, and we're going to look up the two countries. There's the USA, easy to find, way up on top. Total deaths, 180,000 deaths now. Of course, it's been a couple of days since I looked, so I said 175. 180,000 deaths. Let's just look up Korea. Korea has a total of 309. 180,000 to 300. What could be is that because of the governors is that because of Cuomo in New York? That must be it. The 180,000. Or could it be that we completely ignored the virus and the CDC screwed up the tests in February? What could it be? Science or the blame game? There you have it, in a nutshell. That is why Trump is responsible, because his CDC, that he is responsible for, didn't test in February.
Well, now he's writing a book about it.
Yeah, he's writing a book. He's writing a book. But no, it was really an outright lie.
The other one, can I just ask
Yes,
for your
please.
reaction to, was
Wade, here, yes. A lot of the first tests weren't accurate. Specifically, the CDC test. They screwed it up. South Korea tests, accurate. World Health Organization, accurate. Chinese tests, accurate. Trump's CDC fucked up the test. That's why we're here. That's what I'm saying. You just proved my point. I rest my face. Back to Trump.
it's very interesting. He was talking about your plan to cut payroll taxes and was saying that that will destroy people's social security. A lot of seniors watching would have been pretty frightened by that. What's your
Terrible. It was a terrible statement.
We know what happened January 26th to March 16th. We know what happened. The CDC and the manufacturing product contaminated the tests. They sent out contaminated tests to the states. The CDC, Trump's CDC, screwed up. That is why we have 180,000 dead Americans, because of Trump's CDC.
And first of all, we're taking it out of the general fund and replacing it through the general fund. Nothing to do with Social Security. And the payroll tax
So
cut,
just to be clear, it's not true.
it's not true.
that
It's a lie.
Your payroll tax cut plan will hurt anyone's social security.
It will have no impact on Social Security.
Okay, Social Security gets its money from the payroll tax. It's right. It's let me see if I can find a paycheck here. Let's see. This is a pay stub. Yeah, right here. I'm looking at pay stub right now. This isn't one of mine. This is Kevin Lee Daughter's. Medicare, FICA, FIT. They take the money out, and that money goes right to Medicare, Social Security, etc. That's where the money comes from. When you get that little thing in the mail every year that says, hey, when you retire at 65, you're going to get this much money per month. That's because you've paid into the system. That's where that money comes from. So if you cut the Social Security tax, Social Security isn't getting the funding that it needs. It's just, but he's saying, we'll just take it out of the general fund. You know, the general fund that he's increased the debt of by $6 trillion in one term. $6 trillion. It's probably $7 trillion now. Somebody look up the national debt.
We're taking it out of the general fund. It comes out of the general fund. If anything happened, we would replace it immediately. Look, I've been the one.
With what? What money? We're borrowing money already.
Since the campaign, they were saying, oh, Social Security. You know, they like to talk about Medicare, Social Security, things that are good, and war. They said I'd be in a war within the first week. Well, guess what? We're out of our wars. We're almost out of Afghanistan. We're almost out of Iraq. We're bringing people back home. We have very, very few people left in those. And we call.
Hold on, Bubba Tro, absolutely. You want to see how Joe Biden acts with children? I can show you exactly how Joe Biden acts with children. Let's see. I can find that for you. Let's keep watching.
Them, and you do too, the endless wars. But they like to say that. They also like to say Social Security. And I'm the one that's protecting Social Security because I've made our economy strong. But when you talk about darkness, we had the greatest economy ever. We were doing incredibly well. There was very little strife. And actually, Democrats and Republicans were actually coming together. And then we got hit with the China virus, and we had to go into a different mode.
Coming up, the president on his plans for healthcare reform and jobs. Don't go away.
Hey.
Yeah, we're going to pause the commercial just for a second because I want to show how Joe Biden acts with children. Get yourself some Kleenex if you're watching from home. I have it here. Where is it? I'm going to have to search. One moment, please. Stay with me. For those of you watching at home, if you want to support me, go to kevinleefather.com. And I just want to pull up. We have actual video evidence of how Joe Biden acts with children, and I wanted you guys to see it because people are asking. Come on, give it to me. Here, this is it right here. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it over. Here we go, kids. This is Joe Biden acting with children.
Oh, man, come on. Hey, what's your name?
Oh, this is my son, Braden.
Hey, Braden.
Sorry.
Daughters, and we want to be great.
There, I want to set it at a reasonable level for you. So this is my son, Braden. We're here because he stutters. He wanted to hear you speak because Joe Biden grew up with a stuttering problem.
Oh, man, come on. I tell you what. Don't let it define you. You are smart as hell. Now, you really are. You can do that. Can I get a phone number for you and I can tell you what I used to do and how I would do it? Can you take his phone? Because there's about 25 stutterers I continue to work with. And I can tell you the things that help me. I know, by the way, the hardest thing is talking on the telephone. So I don't expect you to be able to. But when I stuttered, I used to talk like this. And it took a lot of practice, but I promise you you can do it. I promise you. And don't let it define you. You're handsome, you're smart, you're a good guy. I really mean it. Don't let it define you. And you know when I say I know about bullies, you know about bullies. The kids who make fun, it's going to change, honey. I promise you. I promise you. Is it all right if I call him Dad? No.
Yeah. So the kid has a stutter. By the way, I'm not a Democrat. I don't vote Democrat, Republican. I vote sometimes independent. I vote by the issue. I vote by the politician specifically. I've never belonged to a political party. I didn't vote for Clinton. Never voted for any Clinton. Here's a guy with a stutter, growing up, who's overcome the stutter. And we just saw actual video. I don't know if he knew it was being taped. Looks like a cell phone video. And he asked for this kid's wall. He asked for the kid's wall. Asked for the kid's number. I just read the word wall. Asked for the kid's number. And that's the same kid that we saw at the DNC. Anybody want to watch that? Here's Braden at the DNC. That I can get to. Let me pull it up. Okay. And let's see if I put it in under Braden. Yeah, right here. This is Braden. Stole the show at the DNC.
When the world feels better. Before talking about something normal, like going to the movies. We all want the world to feel better. We need the world to feel better. I'm just a regular kid, and in a short amount of time, Joe Biden made me more confident about something that's bothered me my whole life. Joe Biden cared. Imagine what he could do for all of us.
Yeah. No reason that Joe Biden, a vice president of the United States, has to spend time with all these kids who stutters, who goes out of his way to call them. By the way, I was saying earlier, I think I'm the only American who Joe Biden hasn't called yet. I'm kind of torn up about that. And yeah, that's a Joe Biden commercial because they want to show you that he's a decent human being. And I mean, if you think that Braden is some kind of child actor who's he's been duped into this, that Joe Biden decided that he was gonna take this kid under his wing, and all the other, it's not just Braden. We've heard these stories from other children before. So yeah, am I okay with the way that Joe Biden acts around children? Yeah, absolutely. Does he touch the back of the kid's head? Do you see the way he gets right in there? That's an effective way to talk to kids. It's a reassuring touch on the back. Hey, don't you worry about it. You're a good-looking kid. You're smart. Don't let this define you. Do I have a problem with a man who had a stutter, who's now right in line to lead the free world, telling the kid not to let it define him? No, I have no problem with that. I want a decent human being in the White House. Not someone whose own sister calls him completely incompetent and a liar. And, by the way, is banned from running a charity. I mean, how did we get beyond that? Wow. The Trumps are not legally allowed to run a charity. That's the Trump family. Let's get back to Steve Hilton. It's going to be in here somewhere. Let's find out. Okay, here we go. You guys watch.
Welcome back. The president promised that by the election, the Republicans would have a big positive offer to the voters on healthcare. So I asked him what it is. So let's talk about something that matters a lot to people watching, healthcare. What's your second-term agenda for the American people on healthcare?
Well, first of all, what we did with Obamacare is incredible. We got rid of the individual mandate, which was a horror show for people. It was horrible. It was killing them. Pre-existing conditions, we keep 100%. And we have done a great job.
They keep saying you won't, that you won't keep.
Oh, yeah, they keep saying, that's another thing.
So
I think he said it last night again. They know that we will. In fact, we're signing the commitment to keep it, and I've already signed the commitment.
Right.
I will never approve anything unless it's got pre-existing conditions. They know that people are protected with pre-existing conditions. They know that. They continuously say,
Did I miss him saying when he was going to come out with the healthcare plan? Because it is now, so he's got 8 days to come out with the healthcare plan he promised again.
Democrats, for some reason, they're willing to lie about everything. They lie so much. In that speech, and the things he didn't talk about, that's a lie too, because you have to talk about police and law and order. Somebody said, don't use the words law and order because it's too tough. I said, no, it's about law and order.
Yes.
You know, the police can...
What state am I from? I'm not from a state. I'm an immigrant.
So if you look at New York, we have the greatest police. They have totally been decapitated as to what they can do. They're not allowed to practice their profession properly. It's horrible. Crime up 368% in New York. Nobody ever thought they'd see numbers like this. So with healthcare, we've done a great job. One of the other things I did, I think you...
Wait, I'll let you know with a little secret. There is no healthcare plan. There has never been a healthcare plan. That is why our friend John McCain gave it a thumbs down. Because it didn't exist. It still doesn't exist. Just like he said he was going to cut the middle class taxes by 10% after the midterms. Didn't happen. It's all just like he said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Didn't happen. Just like we're going to have tremendous health care and you're going to be able to buy across state lines, which, by the way, you can already do in 3 states. And do you know how many health care plans offer that coverage? 0. Not one. So no, there is no healthcare plan. There wasn't. I can show you. I can tell. Because he has said several times, regardless of elections, he has told us that he's going to reveal his tremendous healthcare. Phenomenal in one case. Hold on, I'll show you. Because I have evidence. This is June 2009, July 2009 interview with George Stephanopoulos.
We're going to produce phenomenal health care, and we already have the concept
Phenomenal healthcare. When?
of the plan. And
They already have the concept of the plan. George Stephanopoulos, you might remember this interview.
it'll be much better health care. What the plan is? Yeah, well, we'll be announcing that in about 2 months, maybe less.
In about 2 months, maybe less. That was September. That would be 2 months from then of 2019. Nothing. We never got that healthcare plan. There was no election in between. There was no, we have to take back the House. It was phenomenal healthcare. We've already got the outlines of it. Everything's already done. We're going to be announcing it within 2 months or less. And we haven't heard a goddamn word about it. So yeah, it's just all lies. It's just all a shell game.
The future is good. Transparency. I approve transparency.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for chatting, by the way. The more comments you make, the more I get paid. So this is all about money, baby. This is politics. If you don't understand that politics is all about money, then I can't help you.
That's bigger than healthcare. The people I had working on it, one of them is like the all-time expert on transparency, a highly respected man, doctor. He said,
He can call me a liar. Mark, what am I lying about? Let me know what I'm lying about, and I'll prove you wrong. I love doing this. You don't understand. This is easy breezy lemon squeezy for me. Or in this case, blood of children squeezy. I get this from a pizza place called Comet. It's in Washington, D.C. What you do is you head down to the basement, and then immediately they'll start pushing like 12-year-old girls on you and stuff like that. And then right away, you're like, no, thank you. Boys only, right? You're with me. You know what I'm saying. And then you're like, no, I'm just for the purposes of disease right now and COVID and stuff, I'm just going to take the plasma. So they'll load you up with plasma of children.
Sir, if you get this approved, this is bigger than healthcare. Transparency.
So, this is what he thinks is bigger than healthcare in his mind. You break your leg. Let's say, your kid breaks their leg. Let's say little Timmy is on a scooter. Remember the Timmy ads? Little Timmy is on a scooter and he falls off and he breaks his leg. He falls off the sidewalk on the scooter. Now, I'm saying this because this is what Kevin Lee's daughter did when she was 12 years old. So you rush to the ER because your kid's in a lot of pain and you say, I just want to, I'm not committing to anything. How much is it for broken fibula? Do you have a price list on that? Yeah, and then how much per x-ray? Okay, hold on. I just want to, hold on. Hi, St. Matthew's? Yeah, I'm over at St. Jude's, and they're saying that they can do a broken fibula for $27,300. Can you beat that? You'll go right down to 27, and you'll throw in an IV. Okay, all right, up you get, Timmy. Let's go. We're going. It's $300, Tim. That's what he thinks is bigger. Yes, there should be transparency. Yes, the entire system is broken. Yes, the study is called It's the Price is Stupid. That's why healthcare is so expensive in this country. Seriously, Google it. There's a study called It's the Price is Stupid. They were trying to figure out why is the U.S. like double the price of all the other countries? Is it because of the socialized medicine? Is it because of universal? It's the Price is Stupid. It's an academic study called It's the Price is Stupid. Speaking of stupid,
Where you can go and negotiate and pick the best doctor.
Explain why that helps people.
Because people will be able to negotiate their prices.
Even better. Hold on. Yeah, St. Matthew's, here's what I want. Timmy broke his leg. It's just the fibula. But while you're fixing up the fibula, if you could just give him a little tuck, he's been putting on the weight, because of winter. If you could just tuck him in there, negotiate the prices with a hospital. Can you fucking imagine? They're going to charge women more.
Right now they can't. People will be able to get better doctors. You know who it's good for? Good hospitals. By the way, hospitals are against it because it makes them good. Good hospitals and good doctors. It's good for good hospitals. It's the biggest thing maybe in healthcare of anything I'm doing.
Oh, well then you're doing nothing because that is the bottom of the barrel in terms of things that are actually important. Hospitals are for profit. Hospitals, I know a lot of doctors, love doctors, don't get me wrong, individually, but when you have a healthcare system that makes money on people getting sick, there's a problem there. There's an issue. Yes, they're actually making money on healing people. Yes. It's the price is stupid.
Other than drug prices, because I did a favored nations clause the other day, so that if Germany's buying a pill for 10 cents, and ours costs $2.50.
Oh, $2.50.
Which, we're by far the highest in the world because we're foolish, and because we pay middlemen billions and billions of dollars. I did a favored nations clause and a rebate clause. What do I get out of it? I get millions of dollars worth of advertising from the drug companies against me. You must stop Trump. You know what that means? Prices could come down 60, 70, 80% for prescription drugs. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And you know what it's called?
I hope that works. I really hope it does. But just because you put it in an executive order doesn't mean it acts. It's not how it works. Congress has to do this. He's not a king.
It's already done. I've done it. I just did it 2 weeks ago. But
Steve Hilton doesn't even know when it's happening. I've already done it. I'm sorry, but Steve Hilton's job is he does one television show a week. I don't know. He probably has a podcast. Steve, if you're listening, no offense, buddy. I don't know anything else about you except that you do The Next Revolution on Sunday nights. But I know enough about you to give you credit for that. You do your homework. You've got your stats, you've got your figures, you've got your questions, you've read the charts, you're well aware of what he's done in terms of healthcare. And you don't even know what the hell he's talking about.
But the actual outcome for people.
Well, the
that's what they'll see.
consequences for me are tremendous because every time I turn on a television, the drug
Not what he was
companies are
asking.
advertising about how bad I am. But the fact is, somebody should have done it a long time ago.
Was not asking about the consequences for Trump. Not part of the question. But of course, what is Trump here?
Why is Canada paying 50%? Why of what we do?
Because Canada has a better healthcare system than we do. And why? It's the prices, stupid.
Why is Germany and why are so many other countries paying a fraction? So now, if they pay low, we get the lowest price. It's called favored nations. Very important.
If
Also,
they pay
rebates.
what?
They're getting massive rebates. Now the rebates go to the drug price and it goes to the people. Nobody ever thought this would be possible. It's all done. And
The rebates are used as incentive to get the pharmaceuticals out to the public. If you're just doing it to the public without the rebates, the incentive is lost. So the rebates go away, which increases the price for Medicare, which means that we, the American taxpayers, are now paying more for the same thing.
the other thing that's done, very importantly done, I mean, to me, very importantly, you take a look at transparency. Transparency, I don't know, I say it, nobody picks it up. Transparency
You just said, I don't know.
may be the biggest thing ever done
No.
having to do with cost and healthcare.
No. In fact, you can find out how much your healthcare costs if you go to a hospital. You can call hospitals and say, how much do you charge for this, et cetera, et cetera. They know. They will give you that information. I've done it. You also get a bill from hospitals. Now, if you have insurance that covers stuff, that's fine. You may have really great insurance, for example, Obamacare, and never see a bill. I happened to be on Obamacare when I had my heart attack, and I did ask for the bill to see what it covered, and it was close to about, I don't want to give you guys the wrong answer. I want to say it was $72,000, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, when you get sick, when you really need help, it's expensive in this country. It's expensive in any country. But again, I've been paying into the system. By the time I had my heart attack, I'd been paying into the system for 30 years.
Well, that's great.
And nobody even talks
about it.
about it.
Because it's one of those technical things. It sounds a bit complicated, but I think you've made the case.
not very
You've made the
complicated.
case very well. Last on policy, seems to be a huge issue, a bit like transparency. It's not talked about enough, but it's incredibly important to people. Is what Ivanka's working on. It's something I've talked a lot about on the show, which is giving people skills so they can get the jobs that are out there. Right now, it feels like that's more important than ever. Training skills. It's not a particularly widely discussed issue. How do you see that moving forward if you're re-elected?
I see it very important, and you mentioned Ivanka. It's what she likes the best. I've said, darling, it's like she happens to be a very talented person, okay? She's amazingly smart and talented. I said, would you like to do something else or head this or head
Yeah, she didn't know what complicit meant, but amazingly smart.
that? No, Dad, I want to get people to work, and I want to teach them, and I want to get companies to train them.
Yeah.
Because when you go, she's gotten the biggest companies. She's created 15 million jobs.
Wow.
15 million. Now, that was before.
Yeah, but that was before. When we had created 6 million new jobs total, somehow Ivanka had manufactured 15 million. But more than the number of jobs. She's that amazing.
This came
Well, the
along.
company's created it, but her.
That's right. No, but she went to companies that never even thought of it, and she got the biggest Walmart. She went to these big companies. She had a goal of 500,000, and within about a week, she surpassed that goal. But she went to the biggest companies and got them to do training programs, and they would commit
Yeah, because before this, companies weren't doing training programs.
to take in 500,000 people, 1 million. I think Walmart, somebody did 1 million people. She's done a fantastic job, but it's called training. Now, they can train much better than we can. I think you would agree. And these companies are training, and it's been a great program. Again, got somewhat stymied by what happened with the...
But is it going to be re-energized?
Yeah, oh, it's going to be totally. They're already doing it. In fact, I've had a meeting on it yesterday. It was a tremendous success. We created tremendous numbers of jobs. One other thing, though, last quarter, the numbers just came out. Over 9 million people got jobs. That's the most in the history of our country in one quarter. So we're coming back very
That's
soon.
interesting. I was skeptical of that.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold. Steve might be making my point here. Hold on.
Whole V-shaped recovery thing, but it really
What's
does
happening?
look encouraging.
And one of the reasons it's working is
Yeah.
because we had a very strong foundation.
Yeah.
We built a very strong, if we were weak, if we
Right.
had that happen and we didn't have that foundation, you'd be,
Yeah.
you'd be 15, 20
Huh?
years like the Great
Let me get out
Depression.
of- look at
which
that.
lasted for 18 years, if you
Yes.
think
Wow.
about it. Okay, by the time they got it back, you would have had that. Our foundation was so
Yeah.
strong. That's why they
Wait.
hired more than 9 million people
Yes.
in the last 3 months.
What? But we lost
Coming up, President
20
Trump on law and order,
23
George
million?
Floyd protests and racial justice in America. Don't go away.
Woo! Hold on. Coming back. Hold on.
And justice. I asked President Trump about that balance. Here's what he had to say.
Hold on. You're coming. There
I
you
think it's very clear you've got a big majority of the country with you. If you look at all the polls, 80-odd% agree with you when you talk about the need to restore order on the
Right.
streets, support the police. We get it. This is something I've talked about as well, is that there's another part to it, though. Similar majorities also agree that we need to do more for racial justice and racial equality in this country. Seems to me that when that all
Yeah, but I had the low unemployment, is what he's going to say.
came up after the George Floyd protests, you didn't capture that balance. What do you have to say to people who want both law and order and racial justice?
First of all, I think I've done more for the black community than any other president other than perhaps Abraham Lincoln. And I think
Perhaps.
it's true with
Perhaps.
criminal justice.
I mean, freeing the slaves, it's arguable. It's just perhaps. We'll put that in the maybe column. Johnson with the Civil Rights Act, minor stuff.
Reform.
I mean, here's the thing. This is what I want to say. President Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act. How did that help George Floyd? He's dead now. See? And that's why Trump has done more for the black community than President Johnson.
And opportunity zones and all of the things I've done.
You can't argue with the facts.
Prison reform. I mean, what I've done is more than anybody else.
You know, for all those blacks who aren't in prison,
I don't know if it's being recognized at all, but I've done more than anybody but,
Right.
and I say maybe Abraham Lincoln, because to be honest with you, I don't even know about that. You know, if you go back into the
Jesus Christ, he's digging into it.
whole as to why we got into the war, etc. But
in looking ahead,
What
Yeah.
does he say?
I don't know if it's being recognized at all, but I've done more than anybody but,
Right.
and I say maybe Abraham Lincoln, because to be honest with you, I don't even know about that. You know, if you go back into the whole as to why we got into the war, etc. But
Again, he did this before on Fox a few Sundays ago. That, yeah, it's, again, questionable. Yes, he freed the slaves, but he started a war to do it. So, was it worth it, really? Just look at this man's face. I mean, come on. You can see the tan line. I don't know if you can see mine. Yeah, there. Look at this. I was wearing a headband today, playing tennis. You can see my tan lines. That just depends on how the yeah, there is a line there. You guys can't really here. Look at it right here, right? If you look right,
in looking
Perhaps.
ahead,
yeah,
police reform, that
okay,
whole...
I got it. And we were there. We were getting tremendous kudos because the economy was good. We had the lowest African American unemployment ever. Hispanic too, and Asian, and women, and everything. I mean, it was everybody.
you know, Steve Hilton nods with his whole body, just like that. That's how he nods. Is it a neck issue?
But we were there. We were actually becoming a unified country. Even Democrats that couldn't stand me were sort of getting along. It was happening. And then we got hit with the virus. We're building it again. We had to close it down. We saved millions of lives by doing it. We're not doing any shutdowns, by the way. But we had to close it down, saved millions of lives. We would have had 2.5 million instead of the number we have right now. And one is too many. But we would have had 2.5 million or in that vicinity if we didn't do what we did. And by the way, and if I didn't put the ban on China coming in, and if I didn't put the ban on Europe coming in. So we did things, but we were ready to rock and roll, and we were seeing unity.
Yeah, Jared said we'd be rocking and rolling by, was it Memorial Day or was it July? What? I'll find out. But speaking of rock and rolling.
We're seeing unity that we had never seen. People were calling me that we're not calling, and I'm talking about Democrats.
Right.
And then we got hit, and we had to go back to work.
But the other thing that hit was this sense in the country after George Floyd, and you spoke very powerfully about how horrible that was, that we need to do more. We need to get that agenda.
Here's what Jared said. Hold on. It's showing me ads. Here we go. Jared Kushner mocks the eternal lockdown crowd. Says he hopes the U.S. will be really rocking again by July. Maybe next July?
Towards more racial justice going. I just want to know what you have to say to people who want to see that.
Well, let me say that we had a great reform bill and working with law enforcement,
Right.
doing it with, because these are great people.
Yes.
And if they have a bad apple, I mean, everybody does, even in your wonderful industry. You know,
Yes.
they have bad apples. But we had a wonderful, and Tim Scott, who's a fantastic.
I just don't like. It's not anthropomorphizing. I don't even know what the word, but I don't like referring to cops who kneel on people's necks for 9 minutes as apples. Well, they're just a bad apple. He's a misunderstood scamp. You know, like Hitler. Bad apples. People always forget the rest of that phrase. They spoil the whole barrel. You get one bad cop, and suddenly, in Minneapolis, it wasn't one bad cop. Sorry, Minneapolis, as Trump refers to it. It wasn't one bad cop. There were 4 cops there. 2 of them helped him, and the other guy held back the crowd so that it could happen. That's 4 bad apples. That's a big barrel.
From South Carolina had a bill in that was backed by everybody except the Democrats. They wouldn't let him pass it. And they didn't let him pass it for political reasons, because they like the issue. That bill went a long way to answering your questions. And the Democrats just wouldn't let it get through.
So will you give that a push?
Yeah, I'd give that. Tim is a fantastic guy. The bill is there. We bring it up all the time. Approve the bill. They know it's the right thing to do, but politically, it looks like they're not going to do that.
Yeah, because it does include a couple of things. One is that other cops can't stand by. It's their duty, their responsibility to address a situation as it happens, so that the guy standing there, or the one officer standing there watching the whole thing going on and keeping the crowd back, he should have done something. Even if he wasn't stepping on George Floyd's neck, his responsibility is to protect and serve. He was not doing that. Tim Scott's bill does not have that. And then we have the immunity that the cops have. That needs to go as well. It is just beyond ridiculous. Let's get back into it.
I will say this, though. Had the China virus not come in, I think the whole thing would have been much different.
Interesting.
The George Floyd would have been this would have been a bad guy doing a bad thing to a person, to a man. A horrible.
4 bad guys. 4 bad guys, all with qualified immunity. And that needs to go, and that was not in the Republican bill. And the Democrats are not going to agree to anything that says, for example, let's say they take these guys to court, these cops, these apples. Let's say they take these apples to court, the 4 of them. And they say, well, they killed this guy by kneeling on his neck there. And now some other cop killed a guy by kneeling on his neck, and he got 10 years for that. And the defense can say, well, because of qualified immunity, that wasn't in this jurisdiction. That was in St. Paul, not Minneapolis. How does he say it? Minneapolis. So therefore, we don't have an existing case to go off of. Nothing we can do here. I'm not kidding. That's qualified immunity. You have to have something absolutely similar happen in the same jurisdiction. Or no, they didn't. How would they know that? How would they know that they're not supposed to kneel on a guy for 9 minutes until he dies? How would they know? Qualified immunity. Minneapolis. Yes.
Thing. And I don't think you would have seen the same results.
Coming up, the president gets personal about his style. Why all the hullabaloo was an important moment.
I'm bored with this now. I don't even know if we want to cover this, but let's talk about style. Producer Joanna, are you in here? Our fashionista? Speaking of fashionista, Joanna was saying, I saw this t-shirt and black jacket thing. She does not like that, but okay.
Take a look.
I just want to ask you, in a second term, you'll have done the job already for 4 years. What have you learned about doing the job that would make you do it differently, if anything, in the future?
So I started as a non-politician. I was in Washington 17 times in my entire life, and now I've
Ran for president in
been
2000.
in Washington, and I know the right people and the wrong people. You know, you have to know the people. I have unbelievable people that I would be appointing to certain very important positions that you would consider very important. And I think that
I'll be Sonny, you be Crotchet.
I have great people now. I have some really great people. Nobody talks about the great ones, but we have some, you know, we've done what we've done on the military. As an example, we've rebuilt our military. We've done things that nobody could, $2.5 trillion into our military.
Do I blame Trump for the George Floyd death? No, of course not. What kind of question is that? See, that's what I'm talking about. So many people on both sides, on many sides, on both sides. Well, then if that's the case, well, what about this? It's like, no, I'm not saying that at all. That's ridiculous. There is a middle ground, and it's not common sense, because the majority of people seem to be on one side or the other. No, I'm not blaming Trump for George Floyd's death. He didn't kill George Floyd. Is he part of the environment that contributed to the death of George Floyd? Of course. But then we all are. Except me.
It was so depleted. But I would strengthen what we've done, and I would do new things. Space Force, as an example.
Right.
I've done more. I have an interesting distinction. That actually
I got to say, though, Space Force changed my life.
a sort of a bad person in terms of doesn't like Republicans or me, said Trump is, whether you like him or not, he's done more than he said he was going to do. Like, I never mentioned
Healthcare, Mexico paying for the wall.
in Space Force in
That's
the
true.
campaign. We did Space Force.
No, you didn't mention Space Force on the campaign. And the public was like, we want dead silence. And you're like, I'm going to give you Space Force. And the public was like, okay.
I never mentioned a lot of things. The wall is almost complete. By the end of the year, it'll be just about complete. Having a tremendous, our numbers.
He's end of the year. He's claiming we're gonna have 300 miles on a 2,000-mile border. 300 miles is complete.
On the border are phenomenal.
What about the way you do the job? I'll tell you.
Yeah, Hillary isn't locked up. The 23 accusers of his, in terms of sexual assault, he didn't sue any of them. Said he was going to sue them as soon as the election was done. Didn't do that.
What's behind part of that question? I was just talking to a friend, a big supporter of your policies, the agenda, totally sees that that's what's needed for the country. And I think this represents quite a few people out there, but they say, you know what, this is the word that was used, too much hullabaloo. It's a great word. Captures.
Hullabaloo? Oh, I don't have it in here. I'll show you guys something.
Some of the things that people say. What about that? If you're re-elected, you've got nothing to prove, you've done it again, can we expect to see a different style?
First of all, I understand that 100%.
First of
I
all-
haven't been treated fairly.
Right.
I was investigated by a phony deal on Russia. It was a phony deal. I had nothing to do with Russia. No phone calls, no nothing. I had nothing to do with it. And you had to fight that. Then they had a phone call of congratulations to Ukraine.
Speaking of hullabaloo, that's just something I'm proud of this. This is hullabaloo. This is the game, the cranium game. One game of the year. Don't know if you can see that. Do you see that? Who's that guy? Let's see if I can zoom in here. Here, I'm going to zoom in for you guys so that you can share my joy. Right there. Oh, it got smaller. I don't know how eBay works. Here we go. This is as good as I can do, guys. You see that guy in the middle there? Hullabaloo. Also on the back, there it is. See that guy right there? That's me. That's me on the TV show box. I was the guy in the Hullabaloo game. All right, enough of that. Just something, probably the proudest moment of my life. Yeah, I've got a couple of kids, but honestly, DVD game.
I got impeached. I had to fight that. I have to fight back. If I don't fight back strong, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you. So it's not like, gee, I'd like it to be calm too. But one thing, I wouldn't have got...
For years, I would have mums coming up to me, like just I would be standing in line and just talking to a friend or whatever. And I would have people come up to me and say, excuse me, this is going to sound really weird, but could you just say hullabaloo? They always wanted me to say. They never asked, like, are you in the hullabaloo game? They never they always asked me specifically to say, not always, but quite a lot. They would ask me to say specifically, could you just say hullabaloo? Like my word wasn't enough. I had to actually prove by saying.
And all of these things, I can give you a list that's 4 pages long. Right to try, all of the medical things we've done, even the vaccines. We're almost going to have a vaccine. Somebody else would have taken years to get it.
Even he's listing his vaccine as an accomplishment.
If I had a different attitude, that list would be 1/10 as long as it is.
Interesting.
Nobody has done what we've done.
So you think it goes with the
years.
territory of
Sorry,
getting things
interesting.
done to have that?
I think so. I mean, I'd like to be nice and say, gee, if you could do it, I'd like you to. If I changed my attitude, I wouldn't get nearly as many things done. It's one of those things. Some people like it, some people don't. What can I say?
Literally, we're in the biggest crisis of his presidency, and he can't get a fucking deal done. So yeah, if you change your attitude, it might help a little bit, because right now there is no deal. And the Democrats have come down from $3 trillion on the HEROES Act to $2 trillion. They cut $1 trillion. That's trillion with a Z. And his attitude...
All right, so I'm dying to ask you, they're going to kick me out of here in a second, but I'm dying
Thank God.
to ask you
Yeah.
this question. Have you seen the videos that this comedian has been making?
Oh my God, he's asking about Sarah Cooper. This is awesome.
Sarah Cooper, where she takes your...
What do you guys think he's going to say? Do you guys going to say like, no, I haven't seen it. I don't really. So I'll wait. You guys are 10 seconds behind me tonight. So what do you guys think he's going to say? What's his response to this? Is he going to say it's no talent? Or is he going to say she's hateful? Or is he going to say like he's completely oblivious to her? He has no idea. Because she was part of the DNC. Okay, so haven't seen it. Never heard of her. Okay, so I don't know. This is worth it right here. This should have been the promo. This is the most exciting part of the interview. Here we go.
Speeches, and she performs them. I just wondered if you've seen that.
I have not. No. I'd like to see them. Are they good or bad?
I think you'd find them very entertaining.
Okay, good.
I think a lot of people would enjoy watching this person interview you, and their heads would explode because she takes your voice and performs it.
I'd like to.
And I'm just curious whether you'd seen it.
I mean, if you say they're positive, I'd like to look. If they're not positive,
she doesn't mean it to be positive.
I see.
But I think you might enjoy it.
Well, I'll have to check it out.
Well, we've got the convention coming up next week.
Does Sarah know about this? Has anyone told Sarah this?
Just final message. What do you want people to think as they're watching the contrast with the Democrats? What's the big point you want to leave people with?
Our country has unbelievable potential. We're going to have the strongest economy we've ever had.
Yeah, Daniel Dale has fact-checked Ivanka on the 50 million jobs several times. When he first said it, I think he was in Texas when he claimed that the first time, 15 million jobs. It's like, well, if only 6.5 million jobs have been created, how did she create? Yeah, no, it's nonsense.
Next year, we're going to do additional tax cuts as opposed to massive tax increases, which is going to lead us into a depression. What they want to do will lead us into a depression.
We're already in a depression, but okay.
401k stocks, everything's going to go right down the tubes. We're doing additional tax.
I don't think he knows about it, Allison. His reaction to that, the way he talked about it, I don't think he's aware of Sarah Cooper. I really don't. He has telltales when he's lying, and that he was Michael Flynn on that one. did not show any outward signs, physical signs of lying.
Cuts.
But and you heard him like, is it good? If it's meant to be positive, I'd love to see it. If she uses my words, I'd love to see that. I mean, it's my word, so it's got to be positive, right?
We are going to have one of the best.
He would watch that, and because he hears himself, he'd be like, well, I'm very happy with what she's done. It's a beautiful homage. I mean, she's using my words, so he doesn't see that his words are idiocy.
Economies next year, and within 2 years we'll have the greatest economy we've ever had. Better even than prior to the China virus coming in.
Better than 2.1% GDP growth? Whoa!
We have tremendous potential in this country, and the beauty is we've now rebuilt our military. We've done so much, so many things that I don't have to do, I just have to maintain. But we are going to have the strongest economy we've ever had, and that includes what we just left, which was the best to this point in our history.
Complete bullshit. We were in a manufacturing contraction, and we were at 2.1% GDP.
There we are. Something to look forward to, Mr. President. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really
Steve.
appreciate it.
Great honor. Thank you.
All right, there's more from our conversation we didn't have time for tonight, and we'll bring that to you next week. But after the break, our friend Tammy Bruce is here with Reaction. Don't go away.
Who's Tammy Bruce? She sounds familiar. Tammy Bruce? Tammy? Is she Judge Janine's daughter?
Well, there's no better example of the difference between Donald Trump and not just Joe Biden, but every other career politician that is out there. This is a man who cares about the country. He is personally involved with the...
Joe Biden doesn't? Both his kids joined the military. Both his sons joined the military, but he doesn't care about the... He served office virtually his entire adult life, but he doesn't care about the country.
Details of the issues, and he cares about those issues, and I think it's easier for...
And nobody else cares about the issues. She's making some very solid points.
Any of us to really get into our work when we really love what we're doing and when the outcome really matters. So we
Trump has complained several times that he would rather be in private life because he enjoyed it a lot more.
See that, and I think that that's regardless, inevitably we're going to disagree in certain details of what he proposes and what's going on. But bottom line is, as we see when it comes to what's unfolding in the country right now, leadership matters. Having leadership that actually views us as being more important than them matters. Recognizing the...
Again, I give you Joe Biden talking with stuttering kids. More important than... Here's the thing I learned from the DNC. Joe Biden calls everybody all the time. He makes more phone calls than Trump. He's got no time to be president. I'm a little bit worried about voting for him because of it. He cares too much. I'm not kidding. Joe Biden spends so much time. He called up Don Lemon on CNN. The host, the late night host on CNN, Don Lemon, lost his sister. This was Sister Don Lemon called before Trump or Biden. He told this story before Biden was running for office. Mentioned on air or something, missed a couple of days because he lost his sister. I forget the exact details. Out of the blue, Joe Biden called him and talked to him about loss and grief and dealing with it for an hour. And here's the thing. They weren't friends. They weren't... I think he interviewed Biden one or two times or something, but not chummy with each other. But Joe Biden saw fit to call up another human being that was going through loss and just spend time talking to him and letting him know that at some point he will heal. What was it that Biden said in his DNC address? I'm paraphrasing. I know it feels like there is a black hole in your chest that is sucking you in, and I know that they are gone from this world, talking about people they've lost to COVID, but they will never be gone from your heart. Take that. Compare it to the man in charge. Well, yeah, it is what it is. They will never be gone from your heart. It is what it is. There's your dichotomy, not just of leaders, but of human beings. The man in the picture had to have a note in his hand talking to the parents and families of the Parkland shooting victims that said, "I hear you," on it. Number 5, remember that? Number 5. I hear you. I can pull it up. Hold on. I have it somewhere. It's going to take me a second, but just in case you're out there and you're watching and you don't believe that, here it is. This is the note that Trump had in his hand talking to the Parkland families. Things to say. Looks like Ivanka's handwriting. Because Trump uses Sharpie as well, but it looks like, what can we do to help you feel something? What would you most want me to know about your... He had notes, crib notes. Make sure to tell them, I hear you. I hear you. I'm not the best at dealing with people. I feel like I've gotten better at it in my almost 50 years. I think I learned that people wanted to be heard a long time ago. At Random says, did you see the video of the healthcare worker who survived a vent for 2 months and probably she will lose her hands, and she specifically asked the CNN interview to congratulate Anderson Cooper on his baby? I didn't see that, but that's... We are human beings. There are those of us who feel an interconnectivity to the rest of the human race, who understands what it might be like to be a refugee, rather than to want to lock kids in cages. There is a shared experience that we're all feeling as we hurtle around this big blue marble. I haven't seen that though. I do want to see that. Was it on Anderson Friday? Trump does not have that feeling. Trump is sociopathic. As his niece explained in the book, as we know from experience, as his sister attested to. Not knowing that she was being recorded, which, oh, bad. I have no problem with it. But here's the great thing about being a sociopath like me. I don't care. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Because might be just enough time for a bike ride tonight. And it's 1:28 at night. 1:28 at night. I've been broadcasting for an hour and 28. See? I'm out of words. An hour and a half tonight, guys. Plus, we did the 2-minute press conference earlier. So, hey, it's been great, guys. Good to see you. Let's see if I missed anything out. The last page of the chat. Yeah. New babies. New babies are important. Trump has a lot of new babies. He doesn't know the name of his son. He knows him as Melania's kid, but maybe the Islanders will win the Stanley Cup. I'm rooting for Vancouver now. The game started 10 minutes ago. Nobody ruined the score for me. Colorado, I wouldn't be terribly upset if they won. Honestly, Dallas, I don't have a dog in this fight. Why I'm going to end this talking about dog fighting, I don't know. It's an expression. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, At Random. Thank you, Babe. Thank you, Dr. Howard. Thank you, Producer Joanna. Thanks, everybody in here. Thanks to you who joined us and are not in the chat room. Sorry, I'm running out of words. I sound like Trump now. Joanna G says, I can't wait for Melania to divorce his big, fat, orange ass. Okay. That was mean, but it's true. I mean, that's the way you feel. Your feelings are valid. They might be wrong, but they're valid, producer Joanna. I have a question for the ladies next time. I don't know if there's any guys left in here. I don't see anybody. But anyway, I got a question for the ladies. We'll save that for another time. Sometime, guys, ask me, when I say, what do now? Ask me, say, you got a question for the ladies, Kevin. And Kevinly Father will talk to the ladies. No, I don't want to ask you right now. I want to go do other things in life. We'll do that another time. Will we? Yes, we will. I got to get a new bike bell. Okay, guys. Good night, Allison. Good night, Heather. Yes, from Twitter. Good. I don't know what's going on with Restream. Oh, by the way, Restream is aware that there are problems with the chat window right now. They're aware that Facebook is not putting things into the chat window. Let me do just a quick check to see if anything came through. Nope.
So one of the things that we have to prepare
tonight.
for situations like this.
Sorry, that's not the right thing. Let me get rid of this. So I can't leave up this. I don't know if I can. I'm going to play the closing credits. I'm going to leave. You guys take care of yourself. Have a wonderful Monday morning. And we will probably see you tomorrow. Here are some closing credits. And no, I haven't. I'm working on them. Look. See? Those are the closing credits. So, Phyllis, etc., people who've changed, Allison, who was it? Ruth Ann. I haven't updated everything in there, but I will, and I appreciate it. If you'd like to be in the closing credits eventually, go to kevinlyfather.com or just send me some cash right here, one of those. kevinlyfather.com takes you to Patreon, and you can become a monthly subscriber, and that warms my heart. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do Spilling Covfefe tomorrow because I have to take Kevinly daughter to work. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, guys, that's the end. Be good to each other.
Kevin, is this helpful to Joe Biden?
Wait, what?